Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Leanna and today we're talking about listing. I'm going to give you some insight into my process and how I go about listing and how I'm kind of tweaking it to maybe be more efficient. But I love this topic because it goes across all platforms, because listing is listing for the most part. I mean, each platform has its rules and regulations or whatever, but for the most part, listing is listing. So if this is the kind of content that you like, don't forget to subscribe. Let's go. The first thing, and probably the most important thing or idea that I want to have come across, is what you list is much more important than how often you list or when you list. If you are listing the right items, they will sell. If you are listing items that are really bad or nobody wants, they're not going to sell no matter how good your listing is. So always remember that. Do the work before you start listing. Learn your brands, learn what's selling, do your sell-through rates, do your comps when you're sourcing so that you can limit your bad buys. You know what? Everybody gets them, but you want to limit them as much as you can. So today I'm going to talk to you about my process that I have right now that I am going to be tweaking. So we're going to go through my prepping stage, my photo measuring stage, my drafting stage, and my listing stage. That's what we're going to talk about. So I've gone to the thrift store. I've done my sell-through rates. I've bought all good items because I never buy anything bad. So not true. But I've got my items and now I want to get ready to start listing them. My first job is to prep those items, whether they're hard goods or they're clothing. So with clothing, I know depending on where I buy them from, I have a thrift store that does allow returns. Oh, we're talking about routines. They allow returns. So I double check those clothing when I get them home in different light to make sure I haven't missed a flaw, because I can return them if I want to. But besides that, I remove tags. I will clean, so like hard goods sometimes get a wash in the sink. Clothing gets a wash unless it's new with tags. And I get them ready to go to the office space. So at the office space, that's where my Goo Gone is. So if I have like sticker residue, that'll get cleaned up there. But for the most part, everything is already clean and ready to go. Clothing gets sort of stocked away so they can get hung up so I can steam them before they get listed. But the hard goods, I keep in a separate area because I like mixing in my hard good listings with my clothing listings because I just like the variety. I also like the variety in the fact that it's just easier to photograph hard goods in my estimation. Clothing just takes a little bit longer. It's a little bit more nitpicky, but that's what I do. So they're all cleaned and then I steam because my clothing needs to be steamed because it's all wrinkly. Fine. They're all steamed, they're ready to go. Next, what I do is, because I have 3 different photograph stations at my office, I have a light box. It's about a 2x2 light box that I use for jewelry, smaller hard goods, even shoes sometimes, because it's just more contained and it's really easy to use. I love it. But I also have a desk where it's got a backdrop on it and around the back, and I use that for flat lays, for measuring photographs, for more detailed photographs of items, things like that. But I also have a hanging station, or where my mannequins are stationed. It's got a backdrop and everything else. So when I'm starting to photograph, I tend to use one station and then move along. So I may start with the smaller items in the photo box first. Then I move to maybe medium size items that just get flat laid and get them all done and dusted and they're put away. Then I move on to the clothing because the clothing is more of a process. So I also separate my clothing according to size because I have different size mannequins. So I might put all my plus size clothing first and then my smaller sizes down near the end. That way one mannequin comes out and then goes away and it's done with. That I found more efficient. So I do all my photographs. I do measurements. In my photographs, I take a photo of the tape measure on the item, and then I also write that down. I have a book similar to this kind of a book at the office because we got these at like an auction like years ago and we're still going through them, and I'm a pen and paper kind of person. I will write down the title, the size, the measurements. It's my process. I love it. It works for me. And it just helps me really get the information in my head, because I think that's really helpful. So I do the measurements as well. I fold things up, I put them into the little poly bag, I put them to the side. I let that build up before I bring them home for inventory. But anyway, so then everything's photoed. So for instance, on Saturday, I went to the office and I photographed 20 items. I steamed a whole bunch more. It was a long day, but it was good. I got 20 done. Fantastic. That is a really good number for me. I came home and I put all those photographs, all the cover photos, through Photo Room because I can batch my photos, got them ready to go. I started putting them into drafts. Now, this is where my process, I think, needs some tweaking, because what I do is I do all that on my phone. Take the pictures with my phone, I do Photo Room on my phone, and I put the photos into my drafts on my phone. Now, I do draft into Poshmark first. It's habit, and I just find it easier to do. I cross-post over to eBay later on. I just find using the Poshmark app to upload is just that much easier. I also will add in certain things into my descriptions depending on what the item is. I have keyboard shortcuts for jeans, for tops, things like that. It includes like the measurements of the top, chest and length, that kind of thing. My little blurbs, thank you for shopping my closet, blah, 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 that kind of thing. It's all in keyboard shortcuts, and that gets done on my phone. But I prefer to list on my computer. I prefer to actually publish on my computer. I finish everything up, I polish it all up on my computer, and I just prefer it. But I haven't figured out keyboard shortcuts on my computer yet, so I don't want to be sitting here typing forever. But, so everything is on my phone, they're into drafts. I come to my computer, and now I have 20 drafts to choose from. So I will pick, say, because my goal is 5 listings on Poshmark and 3 on eBay. So I will list 5 items. I might do 2 in the morning and 3 in the afternoon, or vice versa. And that's what I do. But in the afternoon session, once I've finished 5 listings, everything's getting cross-posted over to the other Poshmark. I go back and forth between Posh US and Posh Canada when I draft. Then it gets cross-posted. And then some of those will get cross-posted over to eBay. I do not cross-list absolutely everything over to eBay because some of my items just don't have the value there, and it's not worth my while. So if I can list something for $30 on Poshmark Canada, Poshmark US, but I can only list it for like $12 on eBay, it's not really worth my time to do that, at least not right away. So that's what I do. I love having drafts ready to go. So I do like coming into my computer, going to my draft, finishing it, publishing it. But I also like to go ahead a couple of listings and get them ready to go so that I already have listings that I can go the next morning and done, completely done. So I like that. On Poshmark, you get 50 drafts, which is phenomenal. I think that's a really good number. On eBay, don't quote me on this, but I think it's 150. I think we have a store subscription. I don't know if that makes a difference. But on eBay, you have to remember that drafts have a time limit, which I believe is 90 days, 75 days. Paul told me and I totally forgot. So if anybody knows, can you let us know down below how long do your drafts last on eBay? But you do have a time limit. On Poshmark, you do not. So that's basically my process. But that's a process that works for me because you know what? This is what I do full time. I can pick and choose my days. I like having a backlog of drafts sort of ready to go in case I don't feel like going to the office, in case something comes up, things like that. Having drafts ready to go is really, really good. It's great for your business because then you can produce listings, very fast. And if you're not in the mood or something comes up, you can still list because listing is really, really important. Okay, so next we're going to talk about templates and keyboard shortcuts. I mentioned them a little bit earlier. Poshmark has no templates for your listings. You know what? You can make one yourself and just sort of download it, keyboard shortcut it, have it on your computer and just copy and paste it into your descriptions. eBay, you can make up your own template so that if you are listing jeans, you can have a jean template. If you're listing car parts, you can have a car part template, things like that, which is really good. You can have them made up as you go along and saved, and that saves you a lot of time. I don't know about anybody else though. All these shortcuts and all these things, I find it sometimes easier just to type it out. Honest to goodness, instead of, oh, okay, I've got this screen open and I need to type in, I don't know, let's say, thank you for shopping my closet. I find I can type that faster than I can go and find that template and copy and paste it. So sometimes I don't always use my templates, just so you know. But that's me, and I don't know if it's a me thing, if it's an age thing. Anyway, use your templates. You can save a lot of time. And if you are somebody that does this part-time that has to be very time efficient, that's a really good way to go. So a couple of tips or ideas that I have. First one, time of day. Does it matter when you list? I don't really think so. I mean, maybe, I think you might want to list when the app is busiest, might get more eyes on fresh listings. Maybe. I have not found that to be really a deal breaker in a sense. I list when I list when I can, and I don't think about the time. But if you've had success listing at different times of the day, let us know down below. Number 2, being able to schedule your listings to drop is phenomenal. That way, you know what, especially on eBay, because you can schedule listings on eBay and you don't even have to be there to do it. So as far as I know, they get a time, they open, they list themselves. Fantastic. You don't even have to go onto your phone. You don't have to hit any buttons. You can just list. You don't even have to be aware of it. On Poshmark, their little thing about listing is a dropping soon feature, which honestly I don't like. Because I like the fact that they have something like it, but the listing shows up in your closet so buyers can see it, but it's not available for them. And the original thought process was, oh, it's going to create excitement for this listing. And I honestly think it creates more frustration than anything else. So it's a feature I do not use. But I do have listings ready to go, and it's just a matter of going into the app, going to my drafts, and pushing list. So it's really, really simple. Having listings ready to go is really, really good for you. It's good for your business. It saves a lot of time and energy. Then you can batch your jobs and be done with it. The last one I want to talk about, the tip, and this is something I heard quite a while ago, and I'm not sure where I heard it, whether it was a Facebook group, whether it was a YouTube channel, whether it was Instagram, I don't know. So I cannot give credit to the person. This is not my original idea, but putting a very good photograph at the very end of the listing. The last photograph should be a photograph of the item in good light. So before I heard this, I was putting all the flaws at the end, you know, the end of the listing, you're going to see all the bad stuff, that kind of thing. Not realizing, especially on Poshmark, when people go into your listing, and especially on the phone, and they're scrolling, when they get to the description, they can still see a bit of that last photograph. And if you're showing a flaw, it might turn them off. But if you're showing that item in the best possible light, they might be more apt to buy it because they're reminded about how good it looks. So I've been putting sort of I've been either putting my cover photo again, or because I list 2 possibilities for cover photos, because that way if I relist, I can change out the photo fast. That's another tip. I've been putting that extra cover photo down below that shows the item in a really good light. This has been working really well for me. So that is how I list. I do want to get a little more efficient. I do want to have sort of, this day I'm going to go and steam everything and maybe do a few photos. This day I'm going to be heavily photographing and maybe do a couple of steamings, that kind of thing. Because I am a creature of routine. I love routine. It makes me feel good. But I am a little more flexible with the routine as well, because I do like the freedom that this business provides us. Anyway, that's what I do. I do want to tweak it. So if you have any ideas for me, that'd be great. That is it for today. I hope everybody enjoyed this video. If you are new here, thank you. Welcome. The channel did have some really good growth over the last little while, and I'm very happy about that. If you are new here, come say hi in the comments. Let me know how you heard about me. That'd be fantastic. I am done. I hope everybody has a fantastic week. I'll see everybody on Friday. Bye.